In this video, I'm going to show you how to use other options when you're working with cutters. So first of all, we are stuck in this join Boolean situation. So what you want to do is go to D menu and shift it back to cut. And while you're dragging and drawing a cut, you have this menu on the bottom. And I recommend you just spend some time playing with it because you can do a lot of things with this menu. So for example, I can press B while drawing a cutter. So before I finish the cut, during the drawing of the cut, right, I press B for bevel, and I can move my mouse to adjust the size of the bevel and also move my mouse up and down the scroll to adjust the number of segments. You can see them here in the bottom in Boxcutter notification menu, how many segments I'm actually using. So let's say I want 6. Now, if I'm going to move my mouse to the left and then to the right, it's going to reset to a chamfer. And if I do it again, I'm going to have a bevel, and I can do it all day long. You can also just simply scroll your mouse up to switch a chamfer to a bevel. You can also press Q for quad bevel, which is going to add 2 bevels on both sides. Now, when you apply this, be careful because when you're going to be using bevel the next time, you're going to be stuck in quad bevel mode. So you want to press Q to cancel the quad bevel and B to cancel the bevel altogether. Now you see these dots here, my shape is kind of paused. This is quite interesting as well, and you can enter this state also by pressing tab. So if I'm going to be drawing a cutter and press tab, now you can kind of rotate your mesh around. You can grab these dots here, so all the red dots around and the blue one. So let me show you. This one is for height, this one is for the bottom adjustment, and this one is for the left-hand side adjustment. And the blue one is for a bevel. So you can actually adjust bevel as well. And once you're done, you can either press left mouse button or space, which will approve the cutter. So that's called a paused state of a cutter, where you can do all kinds of adjustments. Other things you can do with cutters is, for example, solidification. So you can run a cut and press T to solidify, and if you move mouse left and right, you can solidify them both ways. And if you press T again, you're going to go back to the regular cutter in a paused state. You can also press Shift T for tapering. And again, Shift T to stop tapering. Another thing you can do is you can array cutters. So if you're gonna start drawing, let's say somewhere here, and I wanted to repeat that cut multiple times, I can press V. And if you are on the wrong axis, you can press X to switch axes. And then scroll your mouse button up and down to adjust number of the array iterations, and either left click or space to confirm. Now let me show you something really deep. This is a cut that not many people know about. In fact, I think it's just a very small percentage, even of the most advanced users. So in order for this cut to work, what we need to do is we need to enable this option here on the top bar. We're going to be talking about this bar later on, including this option, so don't worry about it too much. But what it will do, it will enable a tool called snapdots. Now, when you have a mesh selected and hold Control, with this option enabled, you will see that we're going to have these dots being displayed in specific locations of faces and edges. They will show you where are the central points of the faces and edges. So what we want to do, we want to hold Control and drag cut from a middle here to the right. Then you want to hold Alt to change the shape of this cut, because if you don't, it's going to be a square. So hold Alt, right? Then you want to press V twice to enter this array mode. Then you want to release the mouse, release the Alt, and then you can cut. Now you can see that we cut this mesh in this fashion. But watch what happens when we're gonna be running this initial cut to the left. So hold Control, draw this square, and then move it and flip it to the other side. Then hold Alt, right? Press V twice, and now you got a different type of an array. Release the mouse, and Bob's your uncle. You can also, like with the previous cut, you can change the number of arrays. So again, let's just drag it to the right and left, then hold Alt, then V twice. then you're still holding Alt and your left mouse button, and then you simply scroll your mouse up or down, and then you release your left mouse button and then Alt, and you can see you entering this paused state. So you can do all kinds of stuff, like for example, scale your cuts, move your cuts, rotate your cuts, and they're gonna rotate around the central point of this face, and then you just cut. You can even use stuff like tapering, T for solidification, all kinds of tricks that we learned before. So practice this. This is a really neat cut, and it's gonna save you a bit of time. And remember, you can draw it both sides, so left or right, and it will determine the type of an array you're gonna be drawing. And again, this is something that a lot of people have no idea even exists. Another thing you can do, you can mirror your cutters. So if I'm going to cut here and press 1, 2, and 3, I'm gonna mirror my cutter to all sides of the mesh. And you can also remove the mirrors by pressing the keys again. So it's quite convenient if you wanna quickly mirror your cutter to the other side. You can also change the direction or method of drawing the cutter. By default, you draw the cutter from the point where you place the mouse. So you see I place mouse here, I click and I drag the cutter from the point where my mouse was initially in contact with the mesh. But if you hold Alt, this is gonna change to the cut being drawn outside away from the point where you were starting the cut. And if you hold Shift with Alt, so both keys, Alt and Shift, you will draw a perfect square. Another thing you can do with cutters is you can cut a wedge cut. So if you draw a cut and press W, you'll see this kind of a line here appears on one of the sides of the cutter, right? And if I'm gonna drag it down, you'll see that it's gonna create a wedge cut. And if I hold Control, it's gonna create a perfect wedge cut, which is 45 degrees wedge cut. So you drag, you hold Control, you drag down, and then you click. You can also change the direction of the wedge cut by pressing W. So you're gonna cycle between this wedge cut, side wedge cut, and regular cut. And again, all these options are here in the bottom. Another thing you can do is you can offset the cut. So let's say you have a cut here in the middle like this, and you want it to cut up and down. So let's say you're cutting down here, but you also want to go up. You can press E to offset the direction of the cut, and E again to go down. So you can kind of dictate which way your cut's gonna go, which is really convenient. You can create stuff like this. Now, if there is a reason that you need to revert back to a very simple kind of a wire cut, and you don't want to go back to this menu here, what you can do temporarily is you can press H during drawing the cut to go back to wire mode. So you can toggle between them very easily by pressing H. So you have a lot of options with cutters, and these options gonna work with not just box cut, but also with a circle and n-gon. So let me show you how this works. If I go here to the menu and switch to circle, I can actually draw a circle here like that. And if you want to change the number of verts, you can hold Shift and scroll the mouse up and down, and you'll see here the number of verts gonna change. So once you're satisfied, let's say 40, you click and you confirm. Now, circle has all the options as the box cut. So for example, you can, bevel stuff, you can solidify stuff, you can taper stuff, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff with it. But you can also flip the face of the cut to create outer bevel. Let me show you what I mean. So when you draw a cut like this, and let's say you wanted to bevel this surface here, normally this would be impossible to do without applying the cut. But you can press B and then you can press Shift F to flip the bevel to the top side, and you can actually create either chamfer or a bevel using your mouse scroll. And you can apply that and you got this, which is really cool. Now, obviously, you can use the same trick with box cut, but for box cut, you will need to use double bevel. So if you drag a box cut and then press B for bevel, Q for quad bevel, and then press Shift F, you're gonna flip it outside like this. And obviously you're gonna have to fix the shading. And in order to do that, you wanna add weighted normal modifier, which is really easy with hard ups, just as a tip. But again, we're gonna be talking about hard ups later on. you just simply go to Q menu and alt click on sharpen, which is gonna add a weighted normal modifier at the bottom of the stack. Convenient. Another type of a cut is an n-gon, and this one is really, really awesome. So n-gon, the way you draw it is you click and drag, then you release, and then you create points. And you can see that my mouse is going to be snapping to certain angles. You can change these angles by adjusting these values on the D menu. So let's say we wanted 15 degrees angle. So click that, and this will allow you to snap every 15 degrees. If you want to release the lock, hold Control, right? That's free angle. Now, if you're going to select, let's say, these 2 points, so click and click, and when you're going to be going down towards this line here, you will see there's going to be like a square and then like a dot. This highlights a point which is perfectly aligned with this line, the initial cut here. So you can perfectly align your n-gon cut like this. And then just press space and you're good to go. The n-gon obviously comes with bevels, so you can just press B for a bevel and, you know, bevel your n-gon like this. And you can just run it through, apply it, and you're good to go. And obviously you can use other tools with n-gon as well. So if you, for example, want to, let's say, solidify a cut, right? So let's just press tab to pause it, run it through, and press T for solidification. You can do that. You can also add bevels to it, right? And you can even taper it. So Shift T and you can taper it. So you have a lot of options with these booleans. They're really fantastic. And last but not least, although you can use the tab key to pause boolean, like this and manipulate with it, I prefer to do it differently. When I'm creating booleans, usually what I do, I shift them to live, which means I hold Shift key and shift them to a live bool cut. So I drag a bool, and when I'm finished, I hold Shift key and I click. This will execute the cut, but also it's going to retain the cutter in a viewport, so you can, you know, go to edit mode and start manipulating with the cut, or maybe even start using booleans on that cut to, you know, enhance the design. And that's just a personal thing, but you know, that's how I prefer to work with booleans. And once you're done with this cut, you can press Shift 2 and you're going to turn off this collection of cutters and you're good to go. So these will be the basic operations for booleans with Boxcutter, and in the next video we're going to be diving a bit deeper into this D menu. We're going to talk about what's possible here, what other options we have here. Some of them are quite interesting. And then we're going to move on to this top bar menu, which is a bit more advanced, but there are also some features here that are very interesting. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.